Hello, this is Laura at Healthy Carnivore. So I'm going to go over some stuff tonight about fasting. A little background story for myself, for anybody out there who doesn't know. I'm a registered nurse. I've been a nurse for over 22 years. I started keto in 1991 and I did that up until 2019. At that point, I switched over to carnivore and 2 years ago switched over to the lion diet form of carnivore, which just means ruminant animals, which is your red meats. It's the ruminant animals have multi-chambered stomachs, salt, water, and fat. That's what I eat. I do that because I have lots of histamine issues, food sensitivities that have not healed, and maybe someday they will. But I've been doing this for a long, long time. So fasting was very important for me in the beginning. I did a lot of that, and I kind of flew by the seat of my pants. Is that the word you would call that? Where you think I heard somebody on TikTok or somebody like that. I'll just do that. And then let me show you what I got. And this will be backwards. I apologize. I tried to get it to mirror image, but I don't think it will. Let me see if I can get it to do mirror image. Yeah, it's not even giving me that option. Let me look at layout real quick. Nope. All right. So we'll just show it to you and you'll have to go and look. So this is the ultimate. Boy, that kind of messes up, doesn't it? Anyway, I'll read it to you. It's the complete guide to fasting, and it is written by Dr. Jason Fung, MD, and Jimmy Moore. This book is like the second Bible for me. It goes over, intermittent fasting, alternate day fasting, and extended fasting. So, if there was a book out there I could recommend if you like hard copy books in hand, it would be The Complete Guide to Fasting by Dr. Jason Fung. And it has pictures. I'd show you, but my camera wants to be wonky. So, there's lots of different things in there. So that is an excellent book when you are wanting to do fasting. So once I got that book, I actually had Googled fasting doctors and Dr. Jason Fung came up. So then I, binge watched a lot of his YouTube videos on fasting. And him being an endocrinologist was right up my alley. Like when he would talk over normal person, understanding, I was like, "Ooh, I know what he's talking about. I got that." So that's what I did is listen to him, read his book, really followed the principles on there. So I'm going to go over some of the things that fasting does. Hi, Karen. Nice seeing you. And hi, Beverly. So fasting, especially extended or longer intermittent fasting, can really help reduce loose skin. It does that through what they call autophagy. Autophagy is what some people, I pronounce it autophagy. And that is the breakdown of, the dormant broke down cells that it's time for them to go. Is break that down, utilize what proteins, what amino acids out of it can, and then the rest is gone in your waste. So that is called autophagy. It's a natural process where the body breaks down and recycles damaged cells, including excess or unhealthy skin tissue. During fasting, your body uses stored energy, and autophagy can help your skin tighten up by removing damaged proteins. Now, when I started out in 1991, I was 313 pounds. I lost 153 in 9 months, which was too fast because I did low fat keto that first year. Because as soon as I started losing a lot of weight, I was like, when you've been fat your whole life, you're like, yes, we're staying on this. Wasn't a great thing to do. Lost it very, very fast. So I carried a lot of that loose skin. Um, Even exercising, I did do exercising that did help. I did like the back behind your head, all the different ones that are for like the bat wings. The stomach was really bad because I'd had two C-sections and a hysterectomy through the same scar. It went transverse across. And so I had a flap. I used to call it my reverse kangaroo pouch. And so that hung down, I think it was 6 inches that it hung down. So it was substantial. lots of issues during the summer, rashes and stuff like that. And wonderfully, I was working at a nursing home one summer, and I don't know if I was like scratching or what I was doing, but one of the old ladies there, Fern was her name. She said, "What's wrong?" And I said, "Well, I keep getting a rash under my skin flap." And she was like, "Oh," she goes, "You know what you need to do for that?" And I thought she was going to say like nystatin powder or nystatin cream. And what it was it was scentless deodorant and antiperspirant. She said, "Clean the area, dry it really well. As long as it's not broke out and bleeding, you can put that deodorant on, um, because that keeps that moisture from getting in there." Oh my god, that was a godsend. That changed my whole life because a lot of my other skin had tightened up, but that was one spot that had not. So, I did still have some loose skin, like, right underneath here, probably about 2 inches. So, like, if you waved, like, I had the wobble, um, around my neck was pretty loose. I had really bad loose skin there, and then my upper thighs were really bad. So, keto didn't really get rid of that. So then when I started carnivore, like I said, I saw this thing on fasting and I was like, I got it. Then about I passed out next to my bed, um, got the electrolytes back in me and decided I did not know what I was doing with fasting and I needed to get educated. So that's when I went out and did that. Upon doing that, I did some extended fasting. And what I call extended is like 3 day, 3 7 day, anywhere in between there. And so I did some of that quite often, more frequently than I would recommend at this point for most women anyway. Men can get by with it a little bit better. We have a lot more hormones to deal with. So I'm very cautious with my clients that I work with, my website, as to the amount of fasting that they do. I don't want somebody to just like tank. um, it's good for immunity. So, like, if you have a cold coming on, 24-hour fast is going to help you more than anything else. Okay. But anyway, as I did that, I noticed a lot of my skin like this tightened up really well. I'm still working out. I still do work out and I do still lift weights, very light weights, 5, 10 pounds. I have 15s, but I don't really enjoy doing that. I like to do 5 or 10 pounds where I can do like 30 reps at a time instead of like I can do 10 and I'm halfway in good form or not. That all got better. My stomach improved. I think I had maybe 2.5 inch hang after about a year of doing this pretty consistently each week. I would do like a 3 day fast that first year. Went to the doctor, and thought maybe my insurance would pay to get the rest taken off. And of course, because I had lost so much of it, I didn't fit whatever their criteria was, for getting that skin removal surgery. So I had to say, forget it, and just keep trying. So I will say that at 2 years carnivore, I still had about an inch and a half. I had to have a surgery done where they removed breast implants. I had breast implant illness after having cancer many, many, many moons ago. They were just saline, but the outer shell is still, junk. It's silicone. And my body reacted to it, especially once I cleaned up my diet even better and got so carnivore. And then the plastic surgeon who was doing that surgery said, "Oh, you've got this extra skin down here. We can use that and put that up inside to make new tissue for you." And I said, "What?" And he said, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Okay." So I ended up going to his partner, because I had worked with her before years ago at a complete different hospital about 200 miles apart. But I just really liked her, and I felt like I wanted somebody to do that surgery that was female, I guess. So, she did that surgery, did not have to tighten up the muscles, but did take that extra inch and a half, I think it ended up being, of skin off, which when it's on your body, it doesn't look like, "Oh, it's not that much," but when they lay it out after they've taken it off of you on the surgery table and they show you the pictures, it's like, "Oh my god, that was a ton of skin." But I did have to pay for that out of pocket, because the insurance companies I don't know if they've done it yet, but they were not recognizing breast implant illness where you were getting sick from the silicone shell. Because, like I said, mine were saline. They were fighting to try to get that added in, but when I had that done, they did not. So I did cheat on that last inch and a half by doing it that way. Now, in another 2 years, would it have been the rest of the way? Maybe, because it went from 6 inches, and I mean a good 6 inches, to like an inch and a half. So I think it may have, but I had a different surgery come up, and, when the doctor was like, "We can utilize that skin, da, da, da," and I was like, "Heck yes, sign me up." So that's what I did. Some of the factors will be like your skin type. Some people have the kind of skin that really stretches out. I have lots of stretch marks, so I mine does not stretch nicely. Younger skin, of course, is going to bounce back better. Um, the amount of weight loss and how fast you lost it. That's why I try to be like, you know, 2, 3 pounds a week is, I wouldn't go much above that if you can possibly help it. Now, in the beginning, you lose a lot of the water weight, and that's just going to happen. Some of it is genetics. Some families are just prone to loose skin. Now, my mom doesn't have that problem. My daughter, my daughter takes after her, no issues. My grandmother had loose skin. And so that's just kind of what I got. Skin care. So keeping the skin, moist, like with really good products, whether that be just plain tallow, whether you make tallow lotion, whatever it is, things that don't keep your skin dried out constantly is going to help that elastin, um, you know, um, definitely kind of tighten up. Hydration. So, hydrating, drinking enough water, making sure you're doing that is major as well. Part of that is the autophagy is getting that flushed out. You want to have enough fluid in the system to get those things flushed out. Flushed out. Fasting alone might not completely eliminate loose skin, but combining it with strength training, adequate protein, and skin nourishing habits will improve your results. And like I said, going from 6 inches, and I mean literally, it hung down that far. It was pretty horrific. And I've even seen worse. I mean, I've had patients that had, yeah, much worse than that. So it could have been much worse, but it was bad I didn't like it. Um, Loose skin after weight loss can be addressed through several approaches depending on the severity and your preferences. So, your lifestyle and the skincare that you do is one thing. Strength training, where you're building muscle and that's trying to fill out those areas under the skin, that really helps improve the appearance. I didn't really want to bulk up a lot. I didn't want to have like huge biceps. I had good biceps and triceps and stuff. But I did all of those exercises. I went to YouTube and got arm exercises for people 50 years and up. And I have done multiple different ones of those. I do stretch bands, I do functional stretching all the time as well. So I think all of that kind of helps. Um, Again, it said drinking plenty of water. I also think, even if you're eating plenty of protein, I think you need the fat as well. So make sure you're getting enough fat. If you're doing keto or ketovore or carnivore, make sure you're getting in enough fat. It's really important. We need that, cholesterol is extremely important in the body. I am hoping that in my lifetime, we will finally, we're already starting to see some of the doctors come off of this high cholesterol, is the leading cause of heart attacks and strokes. They're starting to not say that quite so easily. Before it was just like, that's what they learned, that's what they said. And so that's starting to change. But I think at some point they're going to be like, they never admit that they made a mistake. So now they're quietly kind of taking it out of the guidelines. Same with like some of the diabetic stuff. It just kind of disappears off of their thing. And that's fine. But it's like, let's get it done so we quit injuring people. Um, High protein, and then you could do high protein will help your collagen production. Some people do collagen supplements, whether it be the powder. I think bone broth. So you're getting that form of collagen is probably pretty darn good. I did a lot of that with in the beginning with the fasting. I most of the time I did a water fast with salt and water, but there was a few times that I did do the broth fasting. So let's see. Susan says, "Thank you for helping others through your testimonial." You are welcome. Simpson, I recommend Mom. It works wonderful. Hey, Laura. And let's see, Tara. Hi, Tara. And then Gracie, hello. So, skincare, they do have like topical skincare, like retinol and hyaluronic acid and topical collagen. I'm going to say the chances that might help the surface layer, but most of the time when you've stretched or you have those stretch marks, you've denatured that. So the under layers of collagen can take months to really fill back in, and I mean months. So I really think you're better off to do that from the inside. I think you need to do it through the eating, if you eat chicken, eating the skin, eating the fat, adding that in. There are some people who do the dry brushing. I tried that once and I would rather be beat than do it. It about killed me. I don't know. I maybe I was being too aggressive. I was like, "I've got 3 spots of cellulite on this side." And that's something I really don't have anymore at all, and I've had that since I was, like, 8 years old, that I don't even know when it went away. I really don't, I don't know if it was this year, last year, I have no clue. I just know that I was putting on my workout stretchy pants, um, sometime this year, and I was just used to, seeing I've got hips, so, over the edge of my pants when I was pulling them up, and I was like, "I don't have any dimples." I was like, "What happened to my dimples?" And I said, "Honey, look." And I was like, "When did they disappear?" "I don't know." I was like, "Of course not. You don't notice when I color my hair, so you're probably not gonna notice if a dimple disappears." So, yeah. So dry brushing and massaging, I think there's a lot of benefits to massaging too, like lymphatic drainage massaging, stuff like that. I think that is miraculous. I can't remember, is it called dry cupping, where they take these little cup things and they like do that and put it on your skin and it sucks the blood up to the surface, not all the way to the surface, but up, up higher. I think that would probably be helpful as well if you could stand it. Like some of the places where my skin was really super stretched thin, I don't know if I could have tolerated it because it was painful in some of those areas, but maybe. Non-surgical treatments are radio frequency therapy, which helps tighten up the skin and it helps stimulate collagen production using heat. I often wonder, and I didn't come across it. No. So I often wonder, like red light therapy, if that would help, and then like sauna and ice baths, which I can't do. Like I can do sauna. I'm not going to do much of it because it can be very dangerous and I'm chicken after issues that happened this summer. I don't want to do that. I'm not going to do it because I'm scared of that. And I don't want to get in ice water. I just don't. Now, I'll do the shower where it's really hot and then I turn it to cold like the last minute. I can handle that. And I mean, it's cold, but I'm good for people who can't. I cannot do it. Let's see. Hey, Darth. Just got done with HIT class. Is there any merit to lotions and potions marketed? I just can't understand scientifically, nurse brain here, how putting something topical when that's really dead. That first layer out there is just dead. I can't understand how that, like the retinol, it can help the surface areas. Um, castor oil is a deep penetrating oil. So it can at least get down to those deeper layers. I don't know that retinol and topical collagen and that hyaluronic acid, if those can get that deep, I don't know. I never did any of that. I did do castor oil, jojoba oil, vitamin E, and vitamin C that I mixed. and I put on all of the scars, from when I had my major surgery. I waited till all the stitches were removed, and then immediately and my chest tubes, like all the tubes and drain tubes, then I started putting that on those, and I have no scars. You cannot tell ever that you can't even tell I ever had C-sections, and those were old. I was 20 with my first one, and I was 49 when I had that surgery, I believe. And so that but I don't know about the other, and I never know about their purity. It was like I was talking the other day about that facial serum that I sell for $10, and I had looked for something comparable out on Amazon. I even went to like Google and put it in, and they were like 50 and $60 for the same thing. And they had a couple good ingredients, but then they had all this junk in there why would you would never want to put it on your skin because that anything with castor it's gonna push it down in deep. And I was like, I wouldn't put that on my skin anyway. And I'm not paying $60. I was like, no, thank you. And there's no reason unless they're trying to make an absolute killing to charge that kind of money. Um, I don't even know if I'm making any money doing what I do with my products on the side. I don't really care that much um, at all because it's more needs. I just want people to be able to have good products um, and the benefits that come from those. So when I do my taxes this year, I guess we'll see. Um, I'm not really too worried about me. I don't want to go way in the hole, but I don't care if I make much. Even if I just broke even, that would be okay. So some of the non-surgical treatments, like I said, are the radioactive radio frequency, and we'll see if that works. I haven't had that myself. I don't think radio frequency and red light therapy are exactly the same. I think they may be somewhat related, but I don't think so. Ultrasound therapy, which targets the deeper layers for firming, I can see where that would be able to be helpful. There again, I don't know that insurance would cover a lot of that. Um, so we'll see. Um, and this one scares me, although I do know people who have done this. Um, the laser skin tightening, which encourages collagen production for mild to moderate loose skin. Micro needling, I'm probably never gonna do that. I don't like needles. Like, I have one tattoo, got it at 34, and that's it because 'cause I'm chicken, I don't like it. Um, because, micro needling, they say, boost collagen and elastin with the tiny punctures in the skin. It's gonna create that. Excuse me. Um, so, yeah, I've seen the micro needling. I've never even done acupuncture. Like, I had a, Mideastern doctor that was an asthma doctor years ago who swore by that for allergies. And I was like, you know what? I don't like needles, but I'd rather take I had the oil based allergy shots like once a month versus all these needles in me at one time. I never did it. So I was chicken. Same with micro needling, and it may work. I just don't know how much of this would be covered by insurances. So it just depends. It might be something you'd have to save up to pay for. Like when I paid for um my breast implant illness surgery, the removal, all the stuff going on there, I had saved up in case it wasn't going to be covered. Um, because I've had that issue with insurances before. When I had breast cancer, it was in one side. I had fibroid tumors in the other breast, but they were when they did the punch biopsy, they were not at the same level. So they were not going to pay for a mastectomy and, repair basically, only to one side. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. If I'm going under, we're going to do it all. Later on, this other side's going to turn to the same thing because it was the same type. It just wasn't to that level, and insurance was not going to pay for it. Had it done, and then like a week after pathology came back that it had already jumped up to that next level by the time they had done my surgery from the punch biopsies, which was only 2 weeks apart. So they ended up paying for that first surgery, which I wish I would have done the surgery and just left it alone instead of putting in breast implants. I did not do them for myself. That's all I'm going to say. And it's not my current husband. The next thing are the surgical options. So, for severely loose skin, surgery may be the fastest, most effective thing. And that is something I should have wore my short sleeve shirt. So, like, it's hard to see because my background's black, but like that's my arm. So there's nothing that hangs down. But if I relax, I can actually pull my skin down probably an inch and a half. So, I mean, as I get older, I don't know if that's going to change. And at that point, I don't think I'll even care. Um, so some of the things is body contouring is what they call that. So like the tummy tuck, arm lifts. So I don't know if any of you guys have watched like the 600-pound life. I think that's the main one that kind of shows like these people that undergo like the gastric sleeve or bypass. And then so many months later or years later, they have the skin removal surgery. And I've seen some of those scars like run from the elbow all the way up. But it does help those people. They, they can exercise, they can do stuff they need to do. So it's good for their mental health if nothing else. Karen says, I definitely have bat wings, but keep working on them. That's right. Keep working on them. Um, another thing that you can have, so let me describe a tummy tuck. When they say tummy tuck, my doctor said what I was having was not considered a tummy tuck because my abdominal muscles that come together like that down the midline, like this, were very good. Even though I'd been very heavy, I did a lot of kickboxing, a lot of exercising, and so those muscles had really kind of went back to where they should be. They were not loose or flappy. Um, a tummy tuck is where they actually do purse string sutures through those and pull those together tight. Um, the thing I had is what this next one is. So give me a second if I don't say it right the first time because it's a hello word. Pen- Paniculectomy. So that is called a pannula when you have that abdomen that's real loose and flappy like that. So that specifically removes the hanging skin from the abdomen. And some people get it a lot worse than others. Some people don't have a lot. Um, then you can also do the natural process, which is just time. So skin can take 1 to 2 years to tighten naturally after weight loss, and that's especially if you have lost it gradually. So that's where I really am like, if you can just do the 2 pounds a week, 3 pounds a week after you get that whoosh gone, because you're going to have that whoosh when you get rid of the carbs and stuff. So you're going to lose all the inflammation. That's not the kind of weight that we're worried about. It's that fat that you're losing. So you want to do that slow, low and slow. And then autophagy, which is where you can do like intermittent fasting. And people do all different forms of intermittent fasting. It could be 10 hours, 12 hours, 14, 16, 18, 24, where you eat one meal a day. Or you may do two meals, but you do them, it's 20 and 4. So for 20 hours, you fast and you eat for 4 hour window. Any of that will bring on autophagy. I preferred for me, they say you start getting into autophagy pretty good. I think at 12 hours, there's different stages. And then at 18, it's so much, and 36. I always felt like I couldn't feel that it was working on my skin, but I really felt good doing those 3-day fasts. But it is not something to go into lightly and not studied. Like I said, this complete guide to fasting by Jason Fung book is, I mean, I'm not a reader, and like this is about destroyed because of all the back and forth of reading it. It really was a good book to have. So dry fasting for autophagy. Simpson, I have never done that. I've seen a lot of people online that do the dry fasting. I think it's my nurse brain that doesn't want to let me do the dry fasting just because, and who knows, everything that nurses are taught is not necessarily correct either, just like the medical schools. Um, just that getting into a state of what we would call dehydration can be detrimental on the kidneys. So I think that to me is always like, I don't know if I want to do that, but I can't say it's not going to be helpful because I haven't done it myself. And I try never to promote or say, hey, maybe do this if I haven't done it myself because I want to be the guinea pig first. If it did okay and I did all right, then I'll be like, hey, n equals one, but this is what I did. So I haven't done one. Have you done one? Or do you know anybody who has? Because I mean, I have seen some influencers out there who have done dry fasting and swear by it. Um, I don't know. Just another thing that I'm kind of chicken to do. Um, so yeah, so that's what I would do if, excuse me. So if loose skin is truly affecting your quality of life, you can consult a dermatologist or a plastic surgeon to see, let's say all the other things did not work and you're like, I got to get this done. Um, and maybe some insurances do pay for it. I don't know. I just know mine absolutely would not. Had it been still the 6 inches, I would have easily met their criteria, they said. Um, but I mean, it is an option. It's an expensive option. So it's not one, and it is a major, big, big, big surgery. Big surgery. So, I mean, you end up with having all these tubes and stuff like that, which I didn't mind having like all the drain tubes and stuff like that. But my poor husband had to pull one of the tubes for me because I could get the stitches cut, but I could not get back to it and then pull it out because you need to kind of do it slow and steady. Not real slow, but steady. And I could not do it, so he had to do it, and it wasn't good. So I'm going to tell you what we got. I'm going to plan on going over this next week. I'm kind of excited. I came up with a couple of these ideas of, yeah, these are things to go over. And then I had somebody reach out and she was like, what about this disease? What about this disease that that you've dealt with? And I'm like, good idea. So I'm going to go over those this next week, um, next Monday, which is the 23rd. I will be doing um, what I call it is, can the carnivore keto diet cause deficiencies? Question mark. So, because so many people that you will run into, whether you're doing, I mean, I had it when I was doing keto, had it when I went carnivore, of everybody thinks you're going to die. Nobody cared when you had the Twinkies in your mouth and you weighed 300 pounds, and you were needing a ride to the doctor's office at 20. That was okay. But once you start doing something that is so not the norm, then, everybody loses their minds. So this will be educational on things that you're not going to have to worry about deficiency, things you may need to keep an eye on, ways of getting some of those. A lot of that you can do through diet, of what you're eating, the different types of foods that you're eating. And then I believe tomorrow night I will be live at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time with Russ Mitchell, which is Homesick Buckeye. And it'll be, he calls it We Grillin' Baby. So I will be on there tomorrow. Let's see. Simpson says, wondering if you have had the hair loss with the weight loss. And yes, I did. So I've had it a few times throughout the stages. When I first went keto, I ended up having to cut my hair extremely short so they could do a layered cut and that way it looked like it had volume. That I just cut my hair and changed my hairstyle so it wasn't so noticeable. I was only 20. Um, trying to think. Yeah, so I was working in, it was a pretty hot factory. So you always had you had a do rag on or something because, it's 125 degrees in there. So I didn't really care. Not too many people saw my hair. So that I just kind of let time heal. And then when I switched to carnivore and during that phase of cleaning out all the junk and going like dumping oxalates bad, I could always tell if I was really dumping a lot of oxalates because that's the first thing I get hair loss. And then what I did with that is I took extra biotin. So I did do the biotin tablets. Yeah, I did tablets on that. And then I did lots of bone broth. and then I put extra gelatin, Knox gelatin in it and mixed it up. Some people, like the other day, I don't know why I was hungry. I was like, I need collagen. And so I have to be careful with bone broth. I can do beef bone broth, but chicken gives me a histamine response. So I have to be careful with that. But I took Knox gelatin and I mixed it with club soda. That's sugar free, of course. And then I took a packet of the salty, I think it was like the zesty orange or something. It was kind of a citrusy flavor, and put that in an 8 by 8 glass dish and put it in the fridge and made like jello jiggler little squares. And that was pretty good too. So that's what I did is I bumped up that. Um, I did the castor oil and did the massaging because that hair loss was like in all different spots. I mean, it wasn't in one central location. Then when I started going through menopause, big clumps, big, huge clumps, bad amounts of hair fell out. Um, and that's when I was like, I just started digging. Like, why? I mean, I knew I was going through menopause, but what can I do to help my adrenals pick up the slack for what the ovaries have said? We're done, we're cashing out. Adrenals will take over and do some of that for you. And it was like I was eating fat every single day, but I wasn't eating enough. As I increased my fat, and I do 80% fat to 20% protein every time I eat, if not more fat. And once I did that and switched that around, the hairs all started coming back in. So it's all come back in good. One other time I had hair loss, and it was because I was eating so much liver that I had ground up and put in with my deer meat last year that I got vitamin A toxicity. Just the starting of it, I had the little eye flashes and I started losing like full strands of hair. Um, and what I did to prevent that is I stopped doing the liver. I don't do it, but occasionally, very occasionally. I just don't need it. Some people do, but I did not. So, yeah. Let's see. Grace said she would like a show on oxalate dumping. Let me write that down. That is a good idea because I do think a lot of us have that, and you'll get that throughout the process of eating this way many different times because it's kind of like you hit that plateau where you don't really notice anything. And then all at once you may have like a 2 pound loss, and it's those fat cells, they're opening up and that energy's coming out. But then so's all the toxins that are stored in there, whether it be from medicine, food, drink, environment. All of that gets into there. So, yes, I will do that. Thank you, Grace. Karen says, "Oh, I never associated hair loss with oxalate dumping." I had it. I absolutely had it bad. And it was like I said, it was not like vitamin A toxicity was kind of anywhere. Hormonal was like all up around here, bad. I mean, you'd go back this far and there was no hair. It was just a V like that, just to the scalp. You could tell what color my hair was. It was dark brown, okay? I'm not really a blonde, but it was dark brown, and that was pretty bad. That was pretty bad because I was working on the floor. I was doing floor nursing at the time, which meant my hair was pulled back in a ponytail all the time, which is not great because that really caused a lot more breakage too. So, anyway, thank you guys for being on here tonight. Hopefully, you learned something. And just like with Grace, if there's anything show idea wise that you want me to go over that you have questions on, please just leave them in the comments and I will absolutely work them in as we do this every Monday. Don't forget to watch tomorrow night. Russ is a hoot. He's a good time. He's he's much more happy go lucky where I'm more like I like the nuts and bolts and the sciency part of it and the nurse part of it. And he kind of keeps me on the straight and narrow. So wicked laughter. My doctor told me to do keto for weight loss, went back 6 weeks later and had lost 10 pounds. He said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Carnivore." He freaked out and said, "That's too much fat." Oh, don't you just want to go crazy when they say that? Oh, it's too much fat. Well, there are a lot of people that do keto and they do extremely high fat with keto as well. And he really wasn't, sounds like to me, he just said do keto. Well, that's a blanket statement. So there's all types of forms, just like with carnivore, tons of them. So look up, this is what I did. I took studies to my doctors. I took little, and they probably thought I was being smart ass and maybe just a little, but I just would type in, what does cholesterol do in the human body? And then I would just have that. And I'd be like, so why should I be scared of cholesterol? And I would show it to them. And then I'd be like, can you tell me if and they had no answer, no answers. And I'm like, I think it was Dr. Philippa Avadia the other day that said the majority of cardiac doctors die from heart disease. What does that say? Like, obviously, what they are telling people, they do must believe because they're doing it themselves and then they're ending up in the same boat. It's kind of like when I was 300 pounds and they had a, um, a nutritionist come talk to me at the hospital after having my daughter that took 15 minutes for her to catch her breath. No offense to her, very short. I mean, she was well under 5 foot and well over 300 pounds. Very nice. But as she's drinking a big gulp like Mountain Dew, telling me how I can't drink pop and I need to change what I'm eating, my ears shut off. Like, don't you're I'm not probably going to listen. Just like I'm not going to listen to somebody who looks like a Barbie doll that has not one stretch mark and has never been heavy in her life. Probably not going to listen to them either because they can't relate to anybody that has had that, you know? And when you come from a long line of, like, I always joke, people in my family, I'm like, we're German, but I think we have a lot of Charolais, which is a cow, a breed of cow in our DNA. And they're just like, what? And I'm like, never mind. But, when everybody's like 300 plus, genetics, like they say, genetics is the bullet, it loads the gun, and how you live your lifestyle pulls the trigger. So you can go without that. So you can go around it. Well, thank you, Simpson. Um, Lisa says, we'll have to watch the replay. Yes. Yep. Yeah, Lisa, I think it's pretty informative. I'll try. I wish I could figure out how to show the book without it being, oh, that's a little better. So, The Complete Guide to Fasting by Dr. Jason Fung is a book that I recommend if you're really going to dive into fasting. It gives you tons of tips and tricks, different things to do. So I really do recommend if you can afford it. I think it was a little cashy. I think in the United States it was 29.95, but this has been like at least 9 years ago. And Canada on the back it says 39.95. Not sure why it's so much more for Canada, but yeah. Kathy says, "Hey, Laura, sorry I'm late. I'll watch the replay." That's okay, Kathy. Glad to see you on here. Just went over fasting and some stuff like that. So, yeah, I think it's a good one for you to go back and look at. And then, as I said to everybody earlier, you have any ideas you want me to go over, questions, disease processes, any issues that you feel like are good to go over, you throw them in the comments and I get on there and look up my details and stuff like that. So I did that at lunchtime the other day. My boss like, "Are you going to leave the computer?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm on lunch." And she goes, "You always work through your lunch." I was like, "Yeah, but I'm really not doing work for lunch. I'm like, this is side job on, side hustle thing that I do." Um, and she was like, "Oh, okay." She was like, "Well, that's good." Like, everybody works through their lunch, I feel like. So anyway, you guys have a wonderful rest of your Monday. Let's see. Carnivore Santa. I love the beard. Says, "Hi, Laura, finally clearing out my overdose of vitamin A." That is good. Yes, it does take a little time. I think you were having pain around your flanks too, weren't you? So is that improving? You had pain someplace else too. I don't remember where you said. Um, but yeah, it'll get out of there, but you got to be careful. And then just once in a blue moon, you can throw in a little piece of liver if you like it. But just remember, we would not have um, had a kill every single day and ate organ, whether it be kidney, liver, heart, doesn't matter, whichever, we wouldn't have had that every single day. So I know some people who sell like liver supplements are like, take it every single day. And I'm like, I don't think that's a good idea. And then I've had those people reach out and they're like, my hair's falling out. I've got flank pain. I'm getting flashing. And I'm like, vitamin A toxicity, I'm pretty sure. Now, you can have a blood test done to see if that's what it is, but it's pretty easy to tell once you stop all of that and give it a week to sometimes 3 that you start feeling better, then you know that's what it was. I mean, deductive reasoning, right? Yeah, good. Well, I'm glad all of that's getting better. Carnivore Santa. Hi, B. How are you doing? I'll bet you've been out swimming with your housemates there. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to get off of here. Don't forget tomorrow night to come on my channel or Homesick Buckeye. We'll be doing the We Be Grillin', and it's always a hoot. Sometimes he sings. One time I did actually sing with him just a little. I'm not a great singer, um, but it's great for weight loss. If you ever want to hear me sing, it will keep you from wanting to eat. So I'm kind of like a GLP-1. So anyway, you guys have a great evening, and I will see you guys hopefully tomorrow. Have a good one, and as I always say, meet, heat, eat, and repeat.